As you can see today, we all adopted our final written addresses, which are our final submissions in this case, summarizing all the evidence we tendered before the court. You saw all the witnesses we called, all the exhibits we tendered. So today, we now summarized and adopted our submissions.
Grounds we presented. So it's for the courts to decide. So, but what is important is that we sufficiently.
As you can see today, we all adopted our final written addresses, which are our final submissions in this case, summarizing all the evidence we tendered before the court. You saw all the witnesses we called, all the exhibits we tendered. So today, we now summarized and adopted our submissions.
Grounds we presented. So it's for the courts to decide. So, but what is important is that we sufficiently.
As you can see today, we all adopted our final written addresses, which are our final submissions in this case, summarizing all the evidence we tendered before the court. You saw all the witnesses we called, all the exhibits we tendered. So today, we now summarized and adopted our submissions.
Grounds we presented.
All right, welcome on today's edition of the show. It's another edition that promises to be engaging and we're glad you could join us. This is Political Spectrum coming to you live from Uyo, the state's capital, and I remain your host, Onumesi Ehinoma Olusegun. As always, we x-ray conversations about our everyday political and economic developments in Nigeria and sometimes beyond. Burning conversations on policy and policy actions of government with the immediate reactions by citizens, big businesses and corporate organizations, and the civil society, making government more accountable to us, their people. Now, first on President Tinubu's administration's calendar, today is October 24th, a Tuesday, 2023, and it marks exactly 149 days of President Bola Tinubu in office as the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. This is now exactly 4 months and 29 days, just 1 day shy of 5 months. The first development, Supreme Court reserves judgment on Peter Obi's appeal against Tinubu. Now, it's no longer news as at yesterday, the Supreme Court had reserved judgment on Peter Obi's appeal seeking to invalidate President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's election. A 7-member panel of the Supreme Court headed by John Okoro made the announcement after taking arguments from lawyers to the parties on Monday. During the hearing, Mr. Obi's lead lawyer, Livy Uzokwo, a senior advocate of Nigeria, urged the court to allow his client's appeal. He prayed the court to set aside the judgment of the Presidential Election Petition Court in Abuja, which affirmed Mr. Tinubu's election on 6th of September. However, Mr. Tinubu's lawyer, Wole Olainikpekun, an SAN, argued that Mr. Obi's appeal lacked merit, therefore urged the court to dismiss the appeal. The APC, through its lawyer Akeolu Jimi, too asked the court to uphold the judgment of the presidential election petition confirming or affirming Mr. Tinubu's election. Unlike Atiku Abubakar of the PDP, who sought to breathe fresh life into his appeal by tendering President Tinubu's academic records from the Chicago State University, Mr. Obi stuck to the evidence he had submitted to the Presidential Election Court earlier during the petition. Now, as a result, Monday's proceedings were brief as Mr. Obi and his respondent lawyers merely adopted their court filings before the appeal was reserved for judgment. Mr. Obi premised his appeal on 51 grounds, arguing that the Presidential Election Petition Court judgment declining to nullify Mr. Tinubu's election occasioned a miscarriage of justice. He contended that the 5-member panel of the Presidential Election Petition Court, led by Haruna Sanami, erred in law and thereby reached a wrong conclusion when it dismissed his case. Mr. Obi's lawyer, Mr. Uzokwo, a senior advocate of Nigeria, had faulted the court's evaluation of Mr. Obi's evidence, that is at the initial hearing. Now, he said the court erroneously ruled that Mr. Obi's case failed to establish the polling stations where electoral malpractices took place during the February presidential election. Now, the appellant's lawyer urged the Supreme Court to determine if the Presidential Election Court did not err in law when it based its reason on the first schedule of the Electoral Act 2022 to expunge Mr. Obi's witness statements on oath from the court's record. Now, the appellant also faulted the Presidential Election Court decision, rejecting his contention that INEC circumvented its own regulations and guidelines when it refused to electronically transmit results of the election from polling stations to the IREV. Now, the petitioners adduced credible and substantial evidence, both oral and documentary, that proved substantial Tinubu's Shetima's non-qualification. Arguing further, the appellant alleged that Mr. Tinubu was not qualified to vie for the election on account of improper nomination of his vice president's pick. Mr. Obi's lawyer, Mr. Uzokwo, said the court below overlooked that the respondents failed to disprove the evidence of substantial non-compliance adduced by the petitioners. The appellant, in filing, told the Supreme Court that the lower court ignored evidence that proved how Mr. Tinubu was indicted and fined of $460,000 in the U.S. for alleged cocaine trafficking in 1990s. There you go. The banters have begun again at this case at the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court has a reserved judgment, which means anytime from now, the Supreme Court will be giving us a date as per their final pronouncement on the issue, so that the issues will be laid to rest. All right, I'll quickly go on a short break. Thereafter, we'll be right back for the other developments. Then I'll quickly introduce our guest on the show so that the conversations will begin. Stay tuned. Join us again.
Nigerian police, which is the only one allowed by grossly abuse.
Those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola.
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My Lord, the Matters Council is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my Lord, but we can't be talking about cases which are in court,
Is
my Lord.
this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my Lord. These cases are in court, my Lord. I'm just reminding your Lordship.
My Lord, sorry, my Lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
All right, real quick, joining us virtually is Mr. Victor Ojei. Mr. Victor Ojei is a senior special aide to the executive governor of Delta State on non-governmental affairs, amongst other special duties. Mr. Victor, good morning to you. Good morning to you, Mr. Victor.
Good morning to you.
Yeah, sorry for the slight delay. We had some serious technical hitches. But it's nice to see you. How is Asaba this morning, sir?
Delta State is peaceful.
Okay, you guys are done with sharing of your palliatives. I heard it was excitement all the way in the whole of Delta. Okay, Mr. Victor, if you can hear me, Supreme Court has reserved judgment in the case of the petitioners and that of the current president. Anytime from now, the Supreme Court will be announcing the date that the final judgment will be read. I want to give you a chance to give us an overview of the entire process. How do you see it? What could be your own comments in general?
The comment there is that, Mr. Peter Obi, the Labour Party presidential candidate, he has been lamenting, advocating through the courts to get justice, because he believes that he won the election. Funny enough, he came out third. He came out third in the election. And according to his lawyers, they are claiming that the Electoral Act was not followed based on Shetima's nomination. There were placeholders before Shetima finally emerged.
That's correct.
As the vice presidential candidate for APC. If we still look into Labour Party, he also violated the same Electoral Act law, because the law makes it very clear that if you leave your political party to another political party, .
you will wait for 30 days before you will collect for another party. 30 days as prescribed by the Electoral Act or law. So you will see that if we want to look into that, he is not even a member of Labour Party because he didn't follow the law as prescribed. So you see, winning election or claiming to win election is one thing. The technical aspect of it, when you get to the court of law, is another aspect. Recently, the Labour Party had a press conference where they said he was making use of his elder brothers and late brothers in results. They were mixed up. Until date, nobody has come on air. Neither his lawyer. So you see that it's a complicated one. But take this to the bank. It's a deadlock. Tinubu has already emerged. Any evidence you are bringing here, they are not. Because the university, if you talk about our own PDP evidences, you will see that it's still complicated. We have two different statements from the institution. They deposed that APC Tinubu went to their school. Another one, another judgment again. So it's complicated. But I know that the way things are going, just like Green Omokri also advised the PDP. Green Omokri is a member of PDP. Myself, I'm a member of PDP. The advice is that we should start preparing for 2027 election. That is my own personal take, my personal opinion.
Okay.
And if a Labour Party, there are serious people that wants to remove APC from power, they should think of merging with PDP. They should think of merging with PDP. Because it was after Tinubu was announced as the winner, that was when P2B went to merge with PDP. You saw the joint press conference.
Yes.
PDP and
Labour
vice
Party.
president of presidential candidate of Labour Party.
Yeah. Okay, comrade.
So to displace APC at a time like this is going to be very difficult.
Okay, but a lot of people will argue with you.
Yeah.
Yes, comrade. I like the way you have encapsulated the whole thing and shared your honest opinion. But a lot of people will argue that is it about displacing APC or is the burden on the judiciary? Because a lot of people have argued, while some hail the judiciary by not being a court of morality or conscience, some have also said that the judiciary may not have stood on merits and may have used other methods that are alien, according to them, alien to how legal jurisprudence is served. But you are a member of the PDP. Now let's talk about the Chicago State University academic records that was tendered at the Supreme Court by your presidential candidate, Atiku Abubakar. What do you make of it? Do you think it was an effort in futility, or do you think it was necessary that Alhaji Atiku Abubakar did that he needed to do, especially when we know that even the Supreme Court may just strike it off? Comrade.
We all know that President Tinubu, he has classmates who have identified with him, not more than one. He has pictures during his academic years at the Chicago State University. Even the certificate he presented was different from the usual one that the university normally assign. But the university made it clear in their deposition that it doesn't matter because they normally contract those production of those results to different companies. So it doesn't matter. All that matters is the transcript from the university. And the university were able to present its transcript. So, and you see that Tinubu has a
So in other words, comrade, if I can understand you clearly, you're already laying the foundation that Alhaji Atiku Abubakar may have done all that or put in all those efforts in futility, and that you have confirmed. Go on, comrade.
The issue about the
Okay, comrade, can you still hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, please go on. I said.
So the laws are different crime.
Okay, I said you agree by your statements and depositions now. You agree that your presidential candidate Alhaji Atiku Abubakar may have gone through all that stress of getting academic records from CSU, all in futility, to no major gains or profit whatsoever. Because according to what you've said now, you may have confirmed that Tinubu did attend.
The problem we have in Nigeria is that lawyers. Can I go on?
Yes, please go on.
Can I go on?
Yes, you can. I wasn't sure you were hearing me before, but you can go on.
You know, this is what the lawyers report to us. I heard you loud and clear.
Okay.
My comment is that lawyers in Nigeria, they see this period of season as their harvest season. They will never tell you the truth. They already know that it's a dead end, but they will lure you to paying them. They want to make money. So they don't care. They just want to go to court and make money. They will not just stop you. That is their business. So it's a harvest season for lawyers in Nigeria. If you ask me my personal opinion, we should start making arrangements for the next elections. P2B, if really he has the Nigerians at heart for us to have a better system, he should think of merging with PDP. Forming a unitary system with a unity government party system. If you go to Israel, 5 different parties merged when they challenged Netanyahu to displace him as the prime minister.
But could they displace him?
So why will P2B not merge with Atiku Abubakar to displace APC when you know Nigerians were tired of APC because of the pains that the President Buhari administration brought upon Nigerians? Today, fuel a per litre now is now 615 naira. It was still brought by the same APC. Okay, they are distributing palliative, 5 billion naira loan, not even grants, of which they already gave Delta State government 2 billion naira. It is the fund from the so how will you not be compelling the government? Why not give it as grant, since you know that it's money that you are we are now paying from our pocket, because a liter of fuel in Delta State is 615 naira per liter. Now you are saying that subsidy has been removed. Why are you not giving those money as grant, as a loan to various state governments? Personally, if I were to be the government of Delta State, I would reject that 2 billion naira loan. Because when you want to take loan, you should have payment plans. You should have payment plan before you go and accept loans. It's not easy to take a loan of 2 billion naira and you are going, of which you're going to pay interest. It's not as if it's a loan, maybe the type of loan you get from Saudi Arabia that you don't pay interest. So that is my own position.
Okay. All right, people have also argued, as we wrap up on the issue of the Supreme Court and judiciary in totality, people have also argued that the more the judiciary tries to become the beacon and hope of not just the common man, but the average Nigerian state, to further deepen democracy and ease all the tensions, the better it will be. Do you see our Nigerian judiciary actually working towards becoming the beacon of hope of Nigeria, not just the average common man? From all the indices you can see almost, I think, I can't remember the figures, but 94% of all the positions that were vied for in the last election, 94% the petitions had gone to court, which means that a lot of issues happened with the umpire. And so far so good. You have been following all the judgments as they have been reeled out from the election petition tribunal straight to the appeal, those that have been stopped, those that have been upheld and all that. Do you think the judiciary is, by its activities, doing all it can to become the beacon of hope in Nigeria? Comrade.
Of course, our judiciary is doing excellently well. The problem with Nigerians, they are too emotional, they are too sentimental. They don't have a position. They move like the way flag, any breeze blow flag, they go. Nigerians are too emotional. Are you not aware that in Enugu State, that the judiciary, the same judiciary,
boy, we'll continue to battle and battle with the communication gadgets and the devices and technicalities. But I hope that the comrade will be able to join us. Let's try and see whether we can reconnect him properly so that this conversation will be smooth. We'll go on a short break. We're almost due for a break, but we'll go for a early short break, and then we'll be right back. We'll try and reconnect him and see whether we can continue on the conversation. Stay tuned. Join us again.
Business exists only to meet the needs of the people, but there's an extra advantage if your product and services are pitched on a platform that gives you the added advantage over your competitors. For your desired return on investment and so much more, advertise on Spectrum Television, on StarTime's DTH Channel 421 and on free-to-air with a frequency of 12733. Spectrum Television, broadening your horizon.
Nigerian police, which is the only one allowed by grossly abused. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the Constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigerian police force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police force.
No, my Lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My Lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My Lord, the Matters Council is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my Lord, but we can't be talking about cases which are in court,
Is
my
this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my Lord. These cases are in court, my Lord. I'm just reminding your Lordship.
My Lord, sorry, my Lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
SpectrumTv, broadening your horizon.
Nigerian police, which is the only one allowed by grossly abused. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigerian police force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police force.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My lord, the matters council is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord, but you can't be talking about cases which are in court,
Is
my lord.
this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord. These cases are in court, my lord. I'm just reminding your lordship.
My lord, sorry, my lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
Many thanks for staying tuned. If you're just tuned in, it's Political Spectrum on Spectrum Television. And we have laid the floor for conversations. We've been having conversations with Comrade Honorable Victor Ojay, who is a senior special assistant to the executive governor of Delta State. Welcome back. We lost you through to technical issues. Apologies for that. But whichever way we must conclude our conversations, we have just a few minutes to go. I'm sure you are also aware that Nigeria just won a case, an $11 billion P&ID case. And the judgment was handed down physically in an open court and electronically by email to the parties on Monday. Now, Nigeria succeeded in stopping the enforcement of the award, which was initially in favor of P&ID, according to the judge. The award against Nigeria by the company was obtained by fraud, according to the judge. Recall that in January 2010, P&ID, a Virgin Islands registered company founded by two Irish business partners, signed a gas supply processing agreement with Nigeria to develop a processing plant in Calabar, the Cross River State capital. But the deal failed in August 2012, and the company sought a $5.6 billion compensation from Nigeria with arbitration proceedings against the country at the London Court of the International Arbitration. The story is long. The issues happened in 2017, 2018, up until, some few days ago, before the judge eventually pronounced that it was obtained by fraud. In fact, they said that if we are not able to pay in the agreement, that every day there's an accrual of $1 million every day, and that's how it has been able to get to 11 billion plus and may still have continued going on. The first question I want to ask you is, why would people use public office, government's office, to sign such deals that put Nigeria's economy in jeopardy? Comrade, I know you are in government now. Why would people use their offices in government to sign such deals and put the Nigerian economy, which means the entire Nigerian people, we're talking about 130-something million multi-dimensionally poor Nigerians? Comrade, please respond.
Corruption is a global corrupt practices. It's not just Nigerians. When you talk about police brutality, it's not just Nigerian alone. It's a global issue. You saw what happened to the British Prime Minister, Boris Johnson. You saw how corrupt he was, how he left office. You go to US, you saw how Joe Biden and Trump, you saw the complications, intricacies about Joe Biden's winning. So you see, corruption is a global issue. Let us not make it that it's just Nigeria. Nigeria is corrupt, yes, but it's a global issue. And it is good that this is coming from foreign government, which is Irish nationals. And it's a global issue, so we should not look at it as if maybe it's strange. This is just one amongst 1 million happening in Nigeria. There are a lot more that never sees the light of the day. When you talk about corrupt practices in the oil and gas sector, is it in the banking industry, where the bankers exploit their customers by unprofessional and unapproved deductions? Banks normally are not supposed to deduct some charges from their customers, but they do. There are some charges that is the mandate to withdraw those deductions is for the FIRS, but you will see banks will be deducting charges that they were not supposed to deduct from customers' account, and nobody is saying anything. President Tinubu was talking about making our economy how many trillion in 2026. How is that going to be possible when you know there's corruption at all levels in Nigeria? Is it the police? There's corruption. Is it citizens? Corruption. Is it religion, Christian or Muslim? Which sector do you want to? Is it teaching, education sector? There is corruption at all levels. Is it in human rights activism? There is corruption at all levels. But I want you to know one fact. Corruption is a global issue. President Tinubu, till date, he has not investigated the fraud that happened between NNPC and the Central Bank of Nigeria. Not even one person has been sentenced to prison. That will let you know that there's no political willpower to fight corruption. How can Tinubu achieve his vision and dreams of making our economy a trillion-dollar, multi-trillion-dollar economy, when we know there is fraud everywhere, there's corrupt practices? Is it in the military, security agencies? There's
Okay, comrade, I see what you're trying to establish, but we
Corruption.
wanted to...
GSS might not lack communication. Interagency relationship is very poor and weak. Or is it the one that President Buhari recruited Boko Haram, he called them repentant Boko Haram members into the Nigerian army? Who does that? Which country does that? Is that not corruption? It's a global issue. Or is it ISIS? Who founded ISIS? Was it not the US government that founded ISIS? Who left their weapons for Afghanistan? Was it not Joe Biden?
These are very huge allegations because to the best of our knowledge, even from public platforms, we've known that over 20 years, or about 2 decades, the American government, through its military budgets, have dedicated billions and billions of dollars to fighting ISIS and every other extreme Islamic group. So saying on air that the Americans or the American government founded ISIS, maybe you may have to bring a deeper proof and prove it technically. But let us not deviate from what we are talking about. Now you have laid a very solid foundation that corruption seems to be the bone of contention. Nigerians and economic pundits now are not even worried about the P&ID case that we have won, because if we had lost it, the implication is that Nigeria, in its deficits and deficit financing, would have looked for 11 billion, maybe the $11 billion. Maybe the best Nigeria would have done was pleaded for the time with which repayment will be staggered in such a way that it will take a long while for successive governments to be able to pay. But 11 billion, even at the point where Nigeria is at heavy economic regression, would have been a serious issue. Now, economic pundits are worried. How many of such contracts will people in offices of government carrying the emblem and insignia of the Federal Republic of Nigeria would have used through their selfish and corrupt means have signed that we do not know? A lot of people are praising Buhari. A lot of people are praising Abubakar Malami, the immediate past Attorney General, for exposing the issue and running with it. A lot of people are praising the Vice President, Professor Yomi Osinbajo, for also being a part of the reason why that thing was seen early enough and there were interrogations to it. How many more do you think that would have been existing that people would have signed? Ajaokuta is another very, very good example. 460 million owed to some foreign governments. And during was the immediate past governor of Ekiti State, when he was Minister of Steel, he said that the Ajaokuta issue had been resolved, only for other developments to come up to show that the companies or the business people are still insisting that those monies must be paid. So my question is, how many more are we yet to uncover? It's an open-ended question. Yes, comrade. Yeah, comrade, can you hear me? Okay, let me also quickly add, comrade, that the one you were referring to yesterday, as at yesterday when the president met the captains of industries and economic pundits and advocacy groups, a very large body under the umbrella of the Nigerian Economic Summit, which happened yesterday. President Tinubu had promised that in 2026, that Nigeria may or will, by the help of the business captains of business, captains of industry, to expand the Nigerian economy by GDP to $1 trillion GDP. Recall that less than 5 years ago, Nigeria was already valued at $600 billion GDP. And under the 8 years of Muhammadu Buhari's administration, we lost almost 150, because of economic recession and a lot of other terrible economic policies. So if we had continued at the rate we were 5 years ago, probably would have been close to $1 trillion. Yes, I agree with you that there's a lot of corruption, and corruption is right. But I put the question to you again, sir. How many of such deals may government officials in the name of Nigeria may have signed that eventually in future will jeopardize the Nigerian economy? Comrade, can you hear me?
the fact remains that I cannot give you the particular number, but I know one truth, that civil servants are the most corrupt, because civil servants are the ones that even educate politicians on how to loot and steal from the government. Civil servants, they are corrupt. In Nigeria, our civil servants are not patriotic. And like I was saying earlier on, National Orientation Agency that has a mandate to set up billboards, flyers, stickers for whistleblowing, for Nigerians to share information through social media handle, through SMS, through various means, through avatar accounts on social media. They are not doing their job. And the president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he doesn't have the political willpower to fight corruption.
Okay, yet again, comrade, a lot of people will also argue that with you, that President Tinubu is just barely 5 months in office, and that it may still be a little bit too early to judge if President Tinubu has the willpower to fight corruption or not. But he has set examples. With the CBN, he set examples. With the FCC, he has set examples. And you see, so far so good, still under investigation. Talking about the CBN, you can see the number of things we have uncovered. We've had a governor of CBN for 8 years that has run the economy of that bank aground. And economic pundits have also further said that since the CBN has been run aground and everything we have there in the CBN now is deficit, ways and means that should not have been more than probably $1 billion has been multiplied 30 times to be 30 billion and counting. Recall that the Edo State governor also mentioned at some point that this economy will not be able to sustain because the presidency as at then, the immediate past president, was printing and minting money. So the economy may be witnessing what it is witnessing now by virtue of the fact that the managers, the economic managers of the CBN, in the past 8 years have done a very woeful job. All right, go on, comrade.
I've said it over and over again. What is going on with MFLA is a window dressing. By the end of the day, he might end up a plea bargain, or it will never end well. A corporate member exposed some corrupt practices by MFLA. Even brought the account numbers of accounts that MFLA stashed monies, that those monies can pay off the debt of Nigeria. Our total of the day, those monies that MFLA stashed at HSBC,
excuse me,
nothing will happen. He might even go to prison 1, 2, 3, 4 years. He's out. He will still go back and enjoy his loot. So we are not ready as a people. To fight corruption at all levels, because like I said earlier on, almost every sector in Nigeria, they are corrupt. The government, the citizens are not ready, because it is a shared responsibility when you want to fight corruption. The people must partner with the government must partner with the people. It should not be a one-sided thing.
All right, comrade, if you can hear me, due apologies. The network is really doing wonders to this conversation. It would have been a very, very engaging and interesting one. But if you can hear me clearly, at the Nigerian Economic Summit yesterday, it appears that for the first time, the posture of the presidency, of the posture of government, seemed a lot serious, because a few people who attended that summit made comments that they felt a seriousness from the presidency. The CBN governor, the new CBN governor Cardoso, was there. A minister for budget and planning was there. The finance minister and the coordinating minister of the economy was also there. And they had sessions where a lot of questions were asked, and the comprehensive report the president had given earlier was broken down into bits. I understand also that Nigeria is expecting 10 billion, although they were not specific as to where the monies were coming from. They also announced, Wale Edun, the coordinating minister of the economy, also announced that there may be another $1.5 billion expected, both as loans, and the idea and the objective is to stimulate the economy, you know, by engaging in activities and funding such activities. So, looking at the posture of the presidency as at yesterday's economic summit, do you think that for the first time, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu may be serious about moving Nigeria into a $1 trillion economy? We understand the aspect of corruption, but do you think the president was serious, and you think he will be able to move us to a bigger economy, a $1 trillion economy as of 2026?
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is an experienced politician. He has good track records, but the fact remains that till date, our electricity sector, our power sector has not been fixed. How do you expect the economy to grow? We lack security in Nigeria, in the north, in the central, in the south, in the east. Every corner in Nigeria lacks security. There is insecurity. There is no guarantee for your safety. There is no guarantee for foreigners or foreign investors' safety. So how do you plan to grow an economy that has insecurity at all corners, north, south, east, and west? How do you plan to grow that? How do you plan to grow your economy to 1 trillion USD when you already know that your power is unstable? By now, in our power, to upgrade our power sector, because when there is electricity, it will improve the economy. Currently, the cost of a liter of fuel, like I said earlier on, also is 615 naira. How much is the common man making in the streets after purchasing fuel at 615 naira for your business, per liter for your business? So let us see how it goes. But you know, you don't put the cart before the horse. You put the horse before the cart.
I agree with you.
President Tinubu needs to focus on our electricity, upgrade our power sector, then look for alternative means for social to address the social aspect of crime control in Nigeria. Because this palliative that they are giving to the vulnerable, the government should do beyond that. The government should do beyond palliative for vulnerable. How much are they giving to a citizen? It's not enough. And that's not even a solution to ending poverty and hunger in Nigeria. The government should copy models from countries that are successful with their welfare system. The primary aim of government is the welfare and security of its citizens. But our government of Nigeria has proven over and over again incapable of securing lives and property, of securing welfare for their citizens.
Okay, I quite agree with you. And you have also laid it very clearly that a lot of these things, even if we are have not gotten to where we're supposed to be, corruption is also a major factor that has been setting us back. So as we wrap up, I want to ask a penultimate question leading to the final one. How or what would you advise? You are a senior special assistant to an executive governor, so you're already a senior political office holder. What would you advise to the presidency now? He has just elected or nominated a new EFCC chairman and already nominated another ICPC chairman from the north, waiting for the current one to proceed on terminal leave. What would you advise would be the major strategies to fight corruption? Of course, you know that corruption did not come under 1 year or one administration. It started as far back as in the 60s, when Nigeria ought to have paid attention and Nigeria did not. And it accentuated into a deplorable state, and now it has gotten to a level where it has become institutionalized, it has become a system that when you say you fight corruption, corruption fights back. But what, with your wealth of experience in public office, what would be the major vital advice you give to the presidency to be able to nip this corruption behemoth in the bud?
CPC, they cannot stop corruption. They can't. They need to change their style. After all, EFCC has been existing since the era of President Olusegun Obasanjo. And what has been the positive impact? Has fraud ended? No. What EFCC, ICPC, President Ahmed Tinubu should be thinking of, their next move is to focus on how to help our youth. Is to focus on how to partner with social giants, tech companies, to come and educate and enlighten our youth, to come and empower our youth with human capital knowledge, such that our youth will not divert their energy that they focus on fraud to focus on positive aspects of the internet. Because most of the youth of Nigeria are into fraud currently. Our women are into sex. We should think of how to help the youth, because the youth is the future of Nigeria. You saw the participation of the youth in this 2020 election. That was why the youth wanted a change of the system. But unfortunately, they could not achieve their aim. The youth are tired of the leadership of Nigeria because they don't see them giving solution to them. Because it's still one style over and over, over and over. They need to change their style. EFCC needs to know that these young boys, when you send them to prison, they come out worse. They even say, they catch me, highest 5 years, 4 years, I'm out. So they need to change their style. They need to know that even our prisons are not named correctional centers. Not even prison, correctional centers. But they don't go there and come back corrected. That is why the government needs to change their style with respect to the social aspect of crime control. Our youth needs to be empowered at various levels. Look at China, look at Philippines, look at most Asian countries. They export human capital. They work remotely in their country and they earn in foreign currencies like pounds and euros from their country. You saw the effort of India, how Indians work remotely in USA. Indians are in charge of the tech in USA today. And they are doing well because their citizens are benefiting. Citizens are benefiting of these remote jobs. They are still paying their tax to their government. So the government of Nigeria needs to look towards this aspect or this direction that I'm trying to put a searchlight on. Corruption is very vast. I just addressed one aspect of corrupt practices.
That's
how
correct.
to focus on helping salvaging the youth. Currently, if you check the educational system, the school tuition fee for university is something else. Parents can no longer send their children to school. And even when they send them to school, they come out no job. Meanwhile, our leaders of today all enjoyed free education. They all enjoyed good life from the government that was in the system while they were going to school.
True.
So why can't they help the youth of today? Can't Nigeria operate a free education system? President Tinubu is now offering loan, student loan. That is not the solution. If you have the heart of a country, education, look, SDG for Sustainable Development Goal 4 is education. Education is a right. It's not a privilege. It's a right. The United Nations recognizes it. What if President Tinubu mandates our education to be free in Nigeria, as we have in Sweden, Finland, and a lot of European countries, where education is free? So the government needs to change their style and pattern. The government needs to invest more in our education in Nigeria. Any country that wants to be liberated should focus on liberating their youth by way of educating and enlightening them. Because knowledge is power. Education is the key to success. I think this is where I will end for today.
Okay, thank you very much, comrade. I appreciate you. You have been able to enumerate support for the youths, empowering the youths, creating jobs for the youth, as a major, I will see it as a long-term measure of fighting corruption. You also mentioned education, quality education, heavy subsidy on education, making education free. And then you mentioned some European countries. But before you go, this very last question, maybe a minute or thereabout, you've been able to touch on two critical aspects of growing a nation and reducing drastically corrupt practices, because an idle hand, that is the devil's workshop, or so they say. How about the public service you mentioned? Corruption is rife. In fact, there are sometimes people argue back and forth. The public service holders, like your very self, that is a politician, that has become a politician now, and the civil servants who always teach them where to put their hands and get the juicy part of the meat from the soup. Which of these two entities are even more corrupt, in civil or public service? Then how do we begin in a short term to reduce corruption within the political sphere and the civil service sphere? Final question before we run away.
What Nigerian government should do is to go and copy the model of Singapore.
Okay. The model of Singapore, but recall that Singapore is a country, I'm not sure with the statistics, but it's a country that is less than, say, 30 million. It's like saying you want to compare Ghana, Republic of Ghana, to Nigeria. The more the population, the more sophisticated and the more complicated governance becomes. And that is why, in as much as we see India improving in tech, if we are to categorize India as a country, it is still referred to as a developing country because they still have close to 30-45% of poverty statistics in their population. I'm not sure that is correct, but I know they have a high population of people under the poverty line also. So the more the population, look at Afghanistan, that is close to 300 million people, same issues facing them. I think the only country now that is blessed with a lot of population and may be seen to be doing well because they tried to invent a kind of model is People's Republic of China. Other than that, the more complicated or the more populated the country is, the more sophisticated and the more complicated it is to govern. Are you there, comrade? Okay, if you can hear me, I think you have been able to establish some very, very valid facts. The conversation of nation building will always continue. It can never be exhausted. But here we are today on the most critical issues on the economy, making Nigeria a $1 trillion economy. We expect that it should not just be words, because words are free and easy to speak, but they must be backed by action. For the first time, a lot of people are confident that the people who have been appointed into the Ministry of Finance and Coordinating Ministry of the Economy, Ministry of Budget and Planning, and also the CBN governors, they say they are very experienced bankers who have even gotten their experiences outside of the shores of Nigeria, especially in the banking system in the United States of America. And according to the Nigerian Economic Summit yesterday, there were feelers that they spoke as one, and for the first time have very, very clear long, mid-term and short-term objectives on how the Nigerian economy will be boosted and stimulated to continue to grow at positive rates so that all the negative indices will be completely removed. There was also a lot of confidence that the new governor of the central bank, based on his wealth of experience and based on managing assets and major institutions like that, even at the sub-national level, has proven that he will be able to do it. So let's expect that at the end, when the investigation is complete on the CBN, we will now know which direction to take. But above all, the most important thing is that the economy of the giant of Africa be revived once more so that Nigerians can continue to enjoy that reputation as a true economic, political, and military giant of this region Africa. On that note, we'd like to end today's program. Technical issues have not made the conversations quite smooth, but hey, we appreciate you always. Remember, our conversations continue on all our social media platforms as we speak to you on our website, www.spectrumtvlive.ng. All our programs, or majority of our flagship programs, are streamed, and you can always go back on YouTube, Spectrum Television, to watch all the content so that you enlighten yourself more and get up to date. So until the next edition, I remain yours sincerely, Onumese Ehinoma Olusegun, saying have a great day. See you tomorrow.